When Aladdin found the magic lamp, the genie only gave him 3 wishes. That's all he had, and the lamp was effectively no good to him anymore. But what if you could have more wishes? What if you could have an unlimited supply of wishes?
Welcome to Share.care, an all-inclusive community sharing experience, strength, and hope to create strong, healthy, and inspiring relationships. Share.care communities work toward every individual feeling safe, valued, and heard, free from the threat of danger, pain, or harm. Each episode, founder Damian Andrews explores the principles underpinning Share.care and invites expert special guests to share their knowledge so you can easily reap the benefits so many others experience. You hold the choice to create your future. Let it be with strong, healthy, and inspiring relationships.
Hello and welcome to an On the Couch episode of the Share.care podcast. Our belief is that global peace starts at home. Feeling safe, valued, and heard gives you a foundation to confidently step out and make the world a happier and safer place for everyone. Because in today's world, it's in your own selfish best interest to help others. What I want to talk about today is the genie in your lamp. Where is the genie? What does the genie do? And I want to tell you a story about an interaction I had with my son where we were talking about about the wishes, because in the background I had playing the Aladdin soundtrack one morning when we're having breakfast. And as I was sitting there eating breakfast, my son turned to me and he said, you know, if I wished for 10 extra wishes and the genie said no, I'd just wish for 10 more magic lamps and then I'd get 30 wishes. And I thought about that and I thought, well, first I thought, wow, that's attention to detail, paying attention to what's going on, because I now have kind of gone on a little bit to him about that, paying attention to detail. And I deal a lot with contracts, and you really want to find out, the detail, what is going on. And what he had done was identified that the genie had said no more wishing for more wishes. The genie hadn't said you can't have more wishes. That's a slight distinction. A slight distinction in what's being said, but a massive distinction in what's available to you. And my son saw that. He saw that distinction. He said, as the genie said, no more wishing for more wishes. The genie didn't say you can't have more wishes. I just wanted to reiterate that, because that is it's a minor distinction when you talk about it, when you're thinking about that. No more wishing. You can't wish. Can't wish for more wishes. Not you can't have more wishes. Slightly different, bigger difference in impact. And that's where my son noticed that. He noticed it. Why did he notice that? What was it that allowed him to notice that distinction? Well, what I want to talk about here is what's called your reticular activating system and how to use that for your advantage. And if you don't know what the if you do know what it is, I'm going to go through it anyway for the people that don't know. But your reticular activating system, now it's a small part within your brain, and it's roughly the size of, for those who can see, but if you can't, hold out your little finger and go from the tip of your finger down to your knuckle. And that's roughly what the size of your reticular activating system is within your brain. Well, that's the physical size of it. It's quite small. It's quite, very little. It's in the back of your brain going right down to the spine is my understanding. I'm not a biologist. If I've got that wrong, I apologize, but that's the research that I've read says that's what it is. I haven't actually dissected a brain and pulled it apart. But the point is, semantics aside about the size of the reticular activating system and where it is that what it does is it determines what you see. But when I say it determines what you see, it is you decide on what it determines you see. So basically, the reticular activating system, well, I'll step back before we talk about the choosing, but basically the reticular activating system determines what you consider relevant to you. So, and it filters out information because your conscious mind can only handle so much information. It can only deal with so much information. And you've got all this information coming in, especially if you're on social media a lot. You've got massive amount of information coming in, which is why I'd recommend turning your phone off. Give yourself a break. But that aside, regardless, you've still got a massive amount of information coming in, and your conscious brain cannot process all of that. Similar sort of thing, if you wanted to pick up a glass off the table to have a drink, your conscious mind cannot process everything your body needs to do to enable you to pick up that glass. Your conscious mind is limited in what it can actually do. So as far as information coming in, it's limited, and it needs to be filtered. The information needs to be filtered to what you consider is relevant. And that's what your reticular activating system does. It filters out information that you've decided is not relevant to you, whether you've consciously decided that or not. It's doing that job. And the result is that you think your truth is the truth. And this is where we need to be careful, because a lot of us, we can have a number of beliefs. And remember, beliefs are not real. They're not, you don't go and buy a belief off the shelf. All a belief is a thought that you've repeated a number of times and then consider it to be true. And this is where you need to be careful about. Are your beliefs, one, accurate, but more so, two, are they serving you? An example of this, and many of you probably have, I certainly got this a lot when I was young. My mum used to say to me, and to wear a beanie because 90% of the heat goes out through your head. And to my, great frustration and embarrassment, because I hated beanies at that time. When I was growing up, they weren't trendy like they are now, but they were, they were dorky. A beanie was dorky, and you didn't wear a beanie. So, and the fact that my mum was telling me to do that was really annoying and really frustrating. But the point is, the belief was 90% of the heat goes out of your head. Now, if that was true, you could run around naked with a beanie on and you'd be okay on a cold day. But that's not the reality. See, the reality of the situation was the surface area of your body, the exposed surface area of your body, results in the majority of the heat going out of your body because the rest of your body is insulated. Now, that's a different scenario than just saying 90% of the heat goes out of your body, because that's not correct. Relative to the area of the exposed area of your body relative to the non-exposed area, 90% of the heat goes out of your body. Well, you can process that differently. Now, what that means is, coming back to what my son said in relation to the genie and the wishes. And the genie said, no more wishing for more wishes, not you can't have more wishes. Now, what the difference is there for him was his goal, his objective was to get more wishes. Like, well, how do I get more wishes? And in phrasing his questions that way, he opened up his reticular activating system to noticing things that enabled that to happen. So he noticed, rather than just going, you can't have more wishes, which is not what the genie said. The genie said, no more wishing for more wishes. My son's focus was, I want more wishes. How do I get it? And that very process there triggered a different system within his reticular activating system that now allowed him to then be aware of information around him that might help him, i.e., Genie said no more wishing for more wishes. The genie didn't say I can have more wishes. What could I do to have more wishes? Well, I can't wish for more wishes, but I could wish for more lamps, which would give me more genies to make more wishes. And that's the process of how that filtering works. And this is where, how you choose, or what you choose, I should say, what you choose determines what your reticular activating system will allow through its filter. And that's where it's really important when thinking about that to go, okay, what is it? Firstly, what is it that I choose? That's where you need to start. And we talk about that in our goal setting workshop. And you can get a free downloadable from my website, damienandrews.com, which will give you an outline of how to set goals and where to focus. And there's three key areas, whether it's for personal or for business. For personal, there's three key areas to set a goal, and goals that are going to get you what you want really, really quickly and efficiently. And same for a business. There's three key areas, and this is set out in that downloadable. So just go to the website, damienandrews.com, and it'll pop up and you can grab that downloadable. It's very simple and easy to follow. So, but the important thing is that you want to firstly choose what you want. And then after that, you want to have a think about your beliefs and how that relates to that. And your beliefs are really important because, again, as I mentioned before, your beliefs are not real. Too often we think our beliefs are real. They're not. They're just a thought process that you've repeated over and over again, whether it was something that was instilled on you from when you were little and you haven't paid attention to it, or didn't really know to pay attention to it, but it's something that has been repeated over and over again and become part of your thought process. And this, what I mean by this is, how you see yourself, how you set yourself up will determine what your reticular activating system will notice. And, for an example, coming back to Aladdin and the genie in the lamp, the original movie, the cartoon movie, the Disney with Robin Williams as the genie from 1992, um, I I really liked that at that age. I mean, I think, in 1992, where was I? I was 20 years old. So maybe I was too old to be watching the movie, but I'm still technically, I still believe I'm 12 years old somewhere inside me now. So I enjoyed that movie, and I enjoyed it a lot. But I think I enjoyed it mostly because I related to the lead character in a way that, and this was how I saw myself. When you look at the lead character in the movie, he has this daring chase through the city of Agrabah. The sun's starting to set, and he's wandering slowly back to his rooftop hovel, and he's pondering his position in life. And he starts singing, riff raff, street rat, I don't buy that. If only they'd look closer, would they see a poor boy? No siree. They'd find out there's so much more to me. And so I spent a large part of my life living with that mindset. I'm thinking that, um, why don't people notice what's going on? Why don't people see how talented and I was pretty good at things. I mean, when I was in the army, I did lots of great things. I accomplished, I learned, went on a number of different courses, and to parachute, and learned all these things very, very quickly. Um, I During my time there and my time off, I went and worked for an advertising agency, and I directed commercials. And after I left the army and moved back closer to where I grew up. Um, I started working real estate, and I remember doing the application. They did a test, and the director told me that I'd scored the highest result that they'd ever had on the test. So it wasn't a case of I didn't have skill, but here I am thinking, why don't I'm thinking like Aladdin? Why don't they look closer? Why don't they see that there's much more to me? And this was me with my reticular activating system. Um, Setting my mind, or filtering to see what I wanted to see. Even though I'd been told, oh, you really got this, you really talented that. I wasn't believing that I was, because I saw myself as the riffraff street rat. Wishing that they would look good. That's what I saw. I wish. I mean, the real estate agent, or the head of the director of the real estate agency, told me was the best result ever. Did I acknowledge that? I heard it. Yeah, I heard him say it, but I didn't, take it on or think it was, oh yeah, anything relevant. It was just because I was filtering it out. I was still, this in my mind, I was this diamond in the rough, wishing to be discovered, and that affected my behaviors in what I did. I didn't do things that I probably should have done. Whereas, I could have taken some extra steps that weren't harder steps, so just different steps that would have given me much more success than I was having, rather than keeping hitting walls. Um, and I see that now as I look back at it. Then I just thought, why isn't it working? Why is it? But it was me. It was me all along, filtering out this information that was right in front of me. And hopefully, you know, you are too. You're noticing or starting to feel that there is this diamond inside you. You just need to let it shine, because it's right there inside you. Um, and I didn't consciously make that change. Well, maybe I did. Um, I don't, well, actually, what I meant to say is I don't remember where I made the change, but I made a change from, the, if only they look closer, to actually, I'm pretty good. I can do this stuff really well, and it's my choice, and I deserve that. And it was quite a while ago that something shifted, and I don't remember. That's probably maybe why I don't remember. It was quite some time ago that I made that shift, and that really sunk in, and well, sunk in is not the right. It really emotionally hit home. When the re-release of Aladdin came out in 2019, many years later. When was it? What did I say the first one was? That was back in 1992, so 2019. It's nearly 30 years later, if my maths is right, 27. Um, and I'm just double checking that now. It's a long time later, doing this maths in my head. And I remember I wasn't all that keen to see it, largely because I didn't relate to the movie that much anymore. I certainly didn't relate to the character. I didn't relate to this, this boy singing "Riff Raff, Street Rat," and wishing people would look closer. If they look closer, they'd find out there's more to me. I knew there was more to me, and I projected that to the world. That's how I'd been for some time. So I wasn't all that keen to see the movie. And then we did go and see it, and I remember watching the movie, and I was actually enjoying it. It was a good movie. But then Naomi Scott started singing "Speechless," and the words were written in stone, every rule, every word, centuries old and unbending. Stay in your place, better seen and not heard. But now that story's ending. I won't be silenced. You can't keep me quiet. I won't tremble when you try it. All I know is I won't go speechless. And even now, as I'm saying that, and I'm deliberately saying it, not singing it, because it evokes such strong emotions in me, because that was, and when I said I spent a lot of my time as thinking of myself as the street rat. But now it's like, no, I won't be silenced. I will not go speechless. And that's something that shifted. It shifted some time ago. But as a result of that, like when I was watching the first time I was watching that in the movies, in the cinema, I'm glad it was dark because I was bawling my eyes out. One of those, releases of emotion. It's like, yes, that is what I did. That is the transformation that I made from this street rat to going, no, I will not be silenced. And the song really reflected on for me, it really reflected on my awakening. But the point was my shift was in my reticular activating system, because I had this talent, and you all do. Everybody listening to this, you have talent. You have this ability. Um, you know, you might not know how to do everything, and it's easy to focus on the things you don't, because there's so many more things that you don't know than compared to what you do. But if you don't know something, delegate it. And we've got whole programs on how to do that and how to manage that. You focus on what you're good at and do that really well. And anything you're not good at, you get other people to do well. And this is the thing to recognize. And when you change your reticular activating system, when you choose that you want to change it, that's when those doors will open up. That's when your reticular activating system will change, when you'll change your reticular activating system so it filters information to remind you of that. And that's where, for me, it was like that. Even though I was doing it, it was decades of awareness came smashing together. That's why it was so emotional for me the first time I heard that song, and the correlation between those two, because I know today that the magic lamp, Aladdin's magic lamp, is not some shiny thing found made of gold or whatever it's made of. It's not something you find in a cave. It's actually located at the tip, close to the top of your spinal column, about the size of your little finger. It's called your reticular activating system. That is your magic lamp, because that's what will enable you when you set that right, when you choose what is important for you. That's what it will enable. Open the filter. It will filter the information that's right there in front of you. I mean, today, especially in today's world, you're a couple of mouse clicks away from any information you need to do anything. It's freely available. It's not hard to get. And you can see that when you set your reticular activating system, and because your reticular activating system is what you choose to set your truth, to set what you will see. And that's the genie in your lamp. The genie in the lamp is not external. It's not something outside of you. It's not something you find. The genie is recognizing that you choose what you want. And when you choose what you want, you have no limit to the amount of wishes that you can have.
Thank you for being part of the Share.Care community and helping people around the world prosper. You're creating a bigger pie for everyone to share. The more people contributing to the world being a better place, the better the world becomes, for others and for you.